Hello, um, welcome to this session. I am pretty excited about what I want to share with you, and I've been brewing about this for a long time, for a very long time. So, uh, without going into a lot of details as to how long I've been brewing about it, look, I want to talk to you about success, but not success the way you think success, the way the word I think is used a lot. The word success is used in such a way that, what happens is that we assume that success is having a very specific set of rules, such as having a specific amount of money, having your entrepreneur, whatever, and having, the girl, the cars, and all those other things. That might be somebody else's success, but have you taken the time to define what your success is in the context of what makes you happy? So, what makes you happy is the definition and the equation for your success. I'm focusing on the use of the word success rather than how to manifest things because a lot of times we get lost in those details. What I want to do is give you a basic introduction of what I'm going to be talking about today. All right, in this session, we're going to cover the 8 principles of success. These are the components that keep you successful. We're going to talk about what is success and how success really works because look, if it doesn't make you happy, you're not successful. You can have money, you can have the things, but if those things possess you and you no longer are happy, you lose happiness, you're not successful. Okay? But before I can talk about the 8 principles that undergird success and what success is, we need to talk first about the dash. Okay, so what is the dash? Dash is more than a moment. Think about it this way. So focus right here. All right. A dash is nothing more. What do we? This is supposed to be a stone, right? Headstone that they put when people die. Rest in peace. And rest in peace comes from one day to the other. So why is this important? Because we sometimes live like this and we think that just keep ripping throughout life because this day is never going to come. And you don't consider the day that you were born, right? 1346 is a long time ago. When it's all left in between that date of birth and the day that you stop breathing on this earth, the only thing that's left is a dash. So rest in peace is not about ripping, it's not about resting in peace. Okay? It's much deeper than that. That's why I call it the dash. So I'm going to talk to you about that from the context of how to have mind control, the control over your own mind. So before I get back deeper into the dash, let me share with you some of the notes that I have made in my journal. And this is important because everybody thinks, everybody has thoughts, and everybody has rambling, they have, racing thoughts when we're under stress and everything else. And real success is a confidence and a certainty that you're moving towards your compelling future. How do you know you're successful? You know you're successful not because somebody else is telling you you're successful. You know you're successful because you are moving closer every day towards the aim that you have set for yourself. Now, what does that really mean? I want to read to you a couple of little notes that should make some sense to you. The great secret for success is a controlled inner conversation from the premises of the fulfilled desire. The capacity for me to control my thoughts aimed towards the premises of what I want, that is success. It isn't anybody else's success. Now you can join a tribe of people that think like you, work like you, operate like you, all those things, and that helps, and you need it, right? That's why it's good to have a group of people that at the very least you could get together once a week to re-encourage you. The word encourage is to engorge your heart. So, because nothing can take you away, and nothing can take your inner conversation away other than you. We're going to get back to these things, but in order for you to get to understand that, you have to grasp on what's going on inside your head, how you're thinking, and how you're processing. Okay? If you purpose every thought, then you will fulfill the success gradation. You will become successful over time. All right? And so, you see, I wrote here, nothing can take away from your inner conversation except you. The only price you have to pay for this is the exchange of your old thoughts and language that limits you for a new set of language and thought that propels you towards your future. All right. So you have to take conscious responsibility to only hear that which is consistent, congruent with the integrity of your compelling future. What does that mean? That you have to make sure, because nobody else is going to do it for you. You have to make sure that you're getting a hold of these words and that you're getting a hold of the thoughts. And when you get a hold of the thoughts, your feelings start to integrate with your thoughts. Okay? And so the compelling future is whatever you decide how you want to live. 1 year from now, 5 years from now, if everything was perfect, how would you live? That's compelling future. But you don't build it overnight. Just like you didn't build the thoughts that you have overnight. They've come through a series of training from your parents, from school, from society, from disappointments, from failures, from successes. And now you have a narrative that you have created. I didn't create it for you. Nobody else had influence in it. But you are the responsible party that has created that narrative. Okay? So now, you have to take that, and then you have to take all of that into your current existence. You have to take your current existence into your feelings, how you feel right now. You have to take your feelings into the emotions that you are experiencing. As I'm talking to you, you might be saying, yeah, whatever. Well, you know what? I don't know about that. Maybe there's something I said that you're like, yeah, I don't know about it. Or maybe you just said, wow, that's really interesting. Let me pay attention because maybe there's something here for me. Those are emotions. Feelings are like, yeah, man, this guy, or whatever. And that's the difference. Emotions are a little bit deeper than the feelings. Feelings is the thing that causes us to react, but emotions drives the feelings. And it works backwards. So you have to use imagination from a responsible position. What I mean by that is when you watch TV, when you watch movies, when you watch whatever, there is something called suspended reality. You can take the fact that you know where you're at and you suspend that in order to entertain yourself. So the word entertain is equal to the word amusement. To muse is to think, is to have an entity that causes you to process information. Amuse, the word a in front, is anti-muse, which is to not think. So therefore, amusement and entertainment are both the same, similar words, and they mean not to think. So if you're not doing the thinking, who's doing the thinking for you? Because your brain doesn't shut off even when you're sleeping, just because you can't remember, right? So that being considered, you must be responsible over the images that you allow in your mind, the images that you allow to retain, the images that you choose to project, because you're constantly projecting imagery. The how you talk to people and how you allow people to talk to you is something that you're projecting. Okay, now, so you have to be responsible and always be an active participant over your imagination, over your feelings, over your thoughts. Okay? So don't become a spectator in your own life, but be the active participant, the person in in the arena. So that being said, let me see. When I say what I think, when I say what I think is the first phase in the process of the 8 principles. And we're going to come back to that in just a moment, because the point I wanted you to understand at this point, at this conjuncture, is for you to comprehend how the thoughts work, and that everybody has thoughts. The problem is not everybody knows their own thoughts. We subconsciously allow thoughts to run through our mind. Okay, so we talked about the rip, rest in peace, and the dash. Let's get back to that subject. Okay, first of all, what is it that you really want? Take a moment to think about what I'm saying. What is it that you really want? And you might blurt something out, $1 million, this, that, and the other. So whatever it is that you want, you're capable of accessing what you want. Now, what you need to do in order to get what you want, that's a different story now, isn't it? So before you go any further and you think about deeply in terms of what you want, I'm going to say that you must, for the dash in between the day that you were born and the day that you die, you must first dare to dream. Okay? You must dare to dream, because without dream, nothing happens. Okay? And I'm not talking about the dream that you do in a bed. I'm not talking about the daydream that you sit back and while those have play in it. I'm talking about the dream that you dare to dream, that causes you to get excited, that causes your chest to get really tight, that chokes up your throat, and it might even feel like all the way back in the back of your throat, you feel this thing that gets a hold of you in a really deep way, right? That is the dream that I'm talking about. Now, do you dare to dream long enough about that and hold it in your presence long enough to be able to desire to make it manifest? That is the dream that you must dare to dream about. Not a surface dream, but the one that takes courage. The dream that you have to take action or it will never come to pass, because it'll die in the bedside. So the next piece in the dash for your life to be everything congruent with success has to be action. Action. What are the actions? Is it just talking about it? Is it just, so let's pretend it's a car, okay? You want this beautiful car, and you're like, okay, I want a Porsche, and I want it to be, XYZ, a 930 double turbo of this particular year, XYZ, and la 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 la, and whatever the car may be. I'm taking a car because it's simple, but what action do you need? Is it just enough to dream? Is it enough to just go to the dealership, sit in it, smell it, take pictures, put it up? Those things are small pieces, but what's really important for you in the action is that you have to start embodying it, and you gotta feel yourself in the car, driving the car, the sound of the car, the smell of the car. And then when you practice that long enough, your brain starts to believe it. When your brain starts to believe it, you start to think it, right? And that goes towards the 8 principles. And then there's emotions and feelings that get attached to that. Then you have to figure out what steps to take. And that is the next piece. The next piece in the dash is the strength it takes for you to actually take those action, because it takes strength. If you have money enough to buy the car, it doesn't take a lot of strength, because you already had the honor and the pieces already there available to you. But if you don't, then you gotta make a savings. And if you're okay with being in debt, then you go take a loan. I'm using something that's simple because it takes strength. It takes stamina, strength and stamina. Strength, you have to dare to believe, you have to take action, and then that action has to be followed by strengthening action that causes you to draw closer on a daily basis. It's not something that you do and you hope it works out for you. It's something that you do consistently as you work towards the goal. And you may not know all the details, but the longer that you stay with it, you will create an avenue and a force that'll start drawing that thing towards you as you move towards it. Okay, and that's the part of honor. The last piece in the dash is honor. Why? Because you could go kill somebody, take their car away. You could steal it from a dealership. That's dishonorable. So you could do different things that are dishonorable to attain the thing that you want. Or you can operate in a way that's honorable, that causes you to have a clear conscience, that causes you that when you go to bed that you feel strong and good about it, and that you know this is not about earning it, but this is about knowing that you have taken honorable steps towards a thing that means a lot to you. And when that happens, now you are starting to integrate that feeling of success, that feeling that the thing that was so far away is now coming closer towards you in a successful way. And it is because you have dared to believe in it. Some people get it faster, but that's not you. Some people get it slower, and that's not you. Some people, it takes them a very long time, and other people, it takes them somewhere in between. It doesn't matter. It only matters that you are honorable towards your intentions and your commitment about you. That's what matters the most. And that's why the dash matters every little bit. The dash is the secret to success. What is success? Okay, let's take a moment. So we've covered that there are 4 components to your life, right? Daring to dream, a dream big enough to take action, action that is followed with strength that causes stamina, stamina that causes an honorable lifestyle. So, look, you have to have the confidence that you are capable of. You don't have to have the answers. You have to have the confidence that you are capable, that you deserve, and that you have in you something that allows you to reach for success. This is not about entitlement. This is having the confidence that if you choose to follow something and you do it with daring, you do it with action, and you do it with strength and stamina, and with honor in everything that you do, then you have the confidence that it will come to pass. Second is, in order to reach success, you have to have self-mastery. Self-mastery is not a function of self-improvement. Self-mastery is that only you know you. And the only one that can be you is you. Nobody can be more you than you. Now that sounds like ridiculous kind of conversation, but listen. Sometimes we allow more people to tell us about who we are, how we should dress, how we should talk, the strength that you should have, the dynamic motion that you need in order to be you. And what happens is you coil back. You know, I gotta be nice, I gotta behave, I gotta be politically correct, I can't say this and I can't say that because of this, that, and the other. But at the same time, I should not be an ass. I should not be rude. Those are the components of being honorable. Nevertheless, make no excuses for being you. Move like only you move. Live like only you live. And pursue the things that you want like only you can. You don't need permission from another individual. You do not need permission from a woman, from a man, from your he, from your her, from your mom, from your dad, from your society. You don't need permission. But if you need it, I'll give it to you. You have it. Done. You don't need permission to be you. You are you. Why are you asking permission of other people? That, you know, do you like this? Do you like the way I dress? Do you like the way where I work? And no. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Do something about it. Okay. And when you do that, you're real close to success, because the last piece to reach success is you gotta be happy. Okay. That's the hardest part. Why? Because in society, we get a job. In society, we're told what our limitations are. And then we're pigeonholed into a position that we satisfy somebody else's desire for us. But we ourselves lose happiness. We lose context with what it is that made you happy. Now, take a deep breath for just a moment. And breathe out. Do you remember when you were a child, a little boy, and man, you would get up in the morning full of joy, full of stamina, because it was the day. What day? It didn't matter what day it was. It was the day that you woke up and everything was brand new. That's happiness. I remember waking up and not thinking about what was gonna happen. I was thinking about how beautiful the day was and how ready I was to meet it. Because I knew it was gonna be great. Because I was alive and because I was in my own skin. And I was just excited to get up. And I would wake up as a boy, right? And smelling the beautiful, fresh aroma of coffee. And my mom making it in the kitchen in Puerto Rico, and the house is made out of wood, and you can smell the wood. And sometimes you can, in a hot, humid environment, you can smell the paint as the steam billows through the house, and you can hear the roosters in the background, far away, talking to each other. And then there's this aroma of sweet coffee, strong coffee. And would just wake up and go, wow, what a freaking wonderful life. I wasn't even thinking about wonderful. I was thinking about just the wonder of the moment. I don't know if you've experienced that. I would assume that every one of us at one time in our life experienced that. That's happiness. That's success. Because you were being you. You weren't being somebody else. Nobody was telling you how to get up, when to get up, where to get up. Nobody was telling you anything other than you were confident that that day was a good day. There was nothing else to it. Okay, so success is reconnecting to what makes me happy. Success is reconnecting to that inner love that you had and that I have for myself. That's what success is. Success is not the magic of attainment. Success is the magic of being. It's beingness, isness. It's being who you are as who you is. I know it doesn't sound like good English, but listen, success is isness. It's not in the future. It is here in the now and how I feel in my own skin, right? How I feel in my own body. The fact that I like this. I like this body. I like this face. I like the clothes I wear. I like my hair. I'm pain free because I like me. And that's real success. Everything else comes by addition. Look, I have millionaire friends. I have, billionaire people that I know. And they have things and they're not happy. I used to be in that place where I made so much money and I had all this stuff. Horses and cars and trucks and, farm and farm equipment and all kinds of stuff. Professional boxer, all the things that I thought I needed to secure to be successful. And they were good. But they took away from me. Because the real me just likes me. I hope that helps. Success has 8 principles to it. And that's the whole thing that I wanted to wrap around and share with you. When you understand these 8 principles, then you can bring into your life that person that loves you for who you are. When you can apply these 8 principles, you can feel confident and solid in the feelings that you have and the emotional context in which you exist. When you operate in integrity, everything changes about you because it's integral to you, not to somebody else. If you have a job and you work in a cubicle, do you just sit there quietly and your body starts to ache and itch because you gotta move? Why don't you move? You don't move because you're being told that you can't move. There are no rules that says that you cannot move. If you're one of those cubicle workers, look, shake your booty, right? Do whatever. Be you. Be happy. And just move a little bit. Nobody holds you back other than you. When you wait to experience something in the future, you're waiting for Messiah to show up. You're waiting for the government to come and do something. You're waiting for somebody else to fix it. You're waiting for a leader to do something, your supervisor, your mom, your dad, your wife, your whatever, your significant lover, all those things, always waiting for somebody else. Right? You hear what I'm saying? If you're always waiting for somebody else, then you're not you. You're in the background of your life, sitting on a bench, waiting for somebody to come into your life. You can't manifest from there. You cannot create from a place of depression. You cannot manifest and create from a place of waiting. Because all you're doing is becoming a shadow. But what you can do is you can raise your frequency to a higher level. If you are wondering why shit happens and why things happen to you when every time you're trying to succeed, it's because the universe is telling you that you're not aiming high enough, that you're not pushing your frequency at the highest level yet. So push harder and become free from the things that hold you down. Do you know that they say that it takes 80% of the rocket fuel to leave the surface of the earth, the gravity of the earth, and then the 20%, once it breaks through, it's to get to its aim and return. That's the 80-20 rule. It takes only 20% of any population and of any group or tribe to accomplish what the 80% don't do. That's a principle that is a natural law. But you have to create 80% of the energy inside of you to break free. And so once you break free, then you're in that coasting mode. And each and one of those we're going to cover right here, right now. So the first thing is you dare to dream. You take action. And you take action by writing down the dream and making a commitment for the date in which that's going to happen. And you do that and you put strength behind it by taking little tiny actionable steps that give you more strength, and you connect with people that are like you. But you spend the time in your bed meditating. You wake up and you meditate. You take a shower and you meditate, and you keep thinking. And when your thinking starts to line up with your dream that you dare, with your compelling future, then you have accomplished step number one. You are now thinking in congruency with the things that you dream about when you sleep, the things that you stand about when you are dreaming, the things that you walk about when you're drinking your coffee, if you're a coffee drinker, eating breakfast, if you're a breakfast eater, and the things that you do in the shower. When you start thinking about the things that you do in privacy, because we never stop thinking, right? When we go to the bathroom, we're still thinking. When we go to our jobs, we're still thinking. But are you allowing the radio and everything else to think for you? Or are you thinking your thoughts, and you are purposeful in your thinking, and you are responsible about your consciousness, and you're consciously responsible about your thoughts? And when your thoughts start to line up with the way you are consciously moving through life, that's the principle number one. Okay? Followed up to that principle number one of thinking is followed by feeling. Watch this, okay? The feelings. Step number two. If you're accustomed to pain, what's going to happen is like this. You're going to be happy for a moment. You hear bad news. Oh, my dog died. Somebody else's dog died. The cat, whatever. Oh my God, why does life have to happen that way? And it's so sad. And you get into that feeling. Your thoughts take you to that feeling. The government, breaks down, or, Biden is president, so you feel bad. Biden is president, so you feel good. Trump is president, so you feel bad. Trump is president, so you feel good. Your thoughts lead your feelings in a direction. But you must be conscientious and responsible over every thought that you ever think about. Okay? Now, thinking, lining it up with your dreams. then your feelings start to line up. You start to feel different. Instead of allowing the external components of the news and everything else to affect the way you think and feel, you control it. Then comes emotional context. Okay, that's what my third principle, 8 is emotional context. Emotional context is that there are moments when you're gonna be in pain because something. I'm sad because my lady's dog dies, and now I'm sad for her. I'm sad the dog died, and I'm feeling those emotions. But the emotional context in which I exist is I'm happy, because that's temporary, and I can contextualize and compartmentalize those emotions and separate them. Something happens at work and I get a situation where somebody's talking bad about me. You know what? I have emotional context for that little piece to deal with it and say, my world is not falling apart, because I have a compelling future, because I have a dare to dream, and because I take action and I have the strength behind my actions, and I'm a man of honor. And that is why my emotional context overall says that I am emotionally stable and I have emotional IQ in order to create the world that I desire to live in. That is the third piece. And so now we're putting them together. All right, now comes integrity. Do you have enough integrity within yourself to take emotional context and control it and not allow an external influence? If you want to be in good shape, then you have to have the emotional courage. You have to have the emotional intelligence to take your feelings and shove them and say, I don't feel like working out today, but I am going to, because my emotional context says that I emotionally, right? What is emotion? Is external motion that's affecting my feelings. I don't feel like, where does that come from? I bet you if I threw $1 million on you right in front of you and I said, this is all yours, your emotions will change immediately. You got to have emotional context for where you're at. And so the fifth piece is experiencing it. When I think about it and I make it congruent, and then I have integrity within myself of having the emotional context and the integrity of balancing all those pieces together. Right? That's the fourth piece, is integrity. How do you not only have integrity, but how do you internalize that? Let's use it for working out. Some people start working out and they say, I'm going to work out this year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And, I'm going to get in shape. And yeah, I've been thinking about a diet. And then you start talking to them. And you know what they say is, oh, yeah, I know. I eat healthy. Yeah, I know. Look, if your thinking got you to where you're at today, it's the wrong thinking. That's a lack of personal integrity. So let's have integrity, enough integrity so that you can start experiencing the success in your life that moves you in the right direction. Everybody knows that if you eat the right foods, you exercise, and you live a balanced life, you'll stay in shape. You'll get in shape. Why so many people not do it? Because they lack personal integrity with their own dream, and they're not connecting to their dash, and they don't know how to stack the 8 principles. You gotta think it, you gotta feel it, and then you have to have emotional context, and then you have to bring integrity, which is, I made a commitment to me, a covenant between me, and I'm doing this. I might fail today, but I'm doing it again tomorrow. I am going to make a commitment to myself on a daily basis, and I'm going to make it happen. Now, the fifth one is when you start feeling that, you start experiencing it. So, back to the exercise thing. I start getting into shape, and I start exercising, and you know what happens? Is I start feeling good. Now, I may not look any different. I might look whatever it is, however you look, to yourself, but you feel something. The moment that you feel it, you start to emotionalize it. The moment you start to emotionalize it, you start to integrate that exercise as a part of who you are, so you become the experience. And your experience becomes your personal reality, and your personal reality becomes your future reality. Your experience is a conjecture of the actions that you take in congruency with the integrity about your compelling future, and then you experience it, you feel it. You don't have to see it because you're experiencing it. Okay? So that's the fifth one. We take the fifth one out of the 8, and we only got 3 left. We're almost at the end. So when you start to experience it, that's when you have to come back to the dash and put more honor and put more strength and new action, so that you can continue to move in the direction of your life that you want to live. That's success. The happiness that you are you. This is not about proving it to anybody else. And the moment that you get to that point where you're experiencing it, you're feeling that relationship, that's when you begin to manifest it. Okay, so a quick story, right? I've been alone for some time in the past, and I decided that I no longer wanted to be alone, that I got tired of being alone, working alone, and doing things alone. So what I began to do is I began to apply these principles in my life, and I started to go to bed dreaming of my partner. And I would talk to her, and I would imagine her laying next to me, and I was having conversations like a madman, and she wasn't even there. She wasn't even in the screen. I didn't even know what she looked like, but I knew what I wanted her to look like. And I would take a pillow, and I would lay and put the pillow in between my legs and lay sideways, and I would have these conversations. And I would wake up in the morning, and I would imagine her making me some coffee, right? And other times I would make some coffee, and then I would bring it to her, and I would have these conversations like a madman. But you know what? That was daring to dream. And then I took action by consistently doing that. I started to write letters, and I started to imagine her. And then I started the manifestation once I started to feel it, right? This is how you manifest it. You take real action, practical action. And I told people, I am ready for a relationship with a partner that's my equal. So if you know anybody that might even qualify for that position, let me know. I'm just letting you know that I'm open and I'm ready. And that was manifestation because it came to pass. Look, it was less than 3 months from the moment that I decided that this is what I wanted till she showed up in my life. She didn't show up and say, hey, I heard there was an application out there for your partner. As a matter of fact, it was much more elaborate than that. And I had to work towards it. And I had to ask her again and again and again to go out with me at least once. But when it happened, it was absolutely magnificent. That's the part of number 6, manifesting. You manifest it by taking small actions and positive actions towards that. Things that you are daring to bring your dream to pass, and it'll manifest around you. And so the moment that you start integrating that, and the moment that you have integrity with those thoughts, and the moment that you start feeling, experiencing those things, it'll begin to manifest around you. People will say, hey, you know what? I saw this lady. I thought about you. You know, whatever your context is. In my case, people would say to me, I know this Jewish lady that I think you should meet. And I would get excited. And it wouldn't happen, but I would get excited because I knew that now the universe was responding to my desire. by showing me little signs here and there, and I go, yes, I'm moving in the right direction. And she's about to show up. 4 months later, I have found the most wonderful human being that fits me. She is perfect for me. Okay, at that point, when the manifestation arrives, it may not always arrive exactly the way you want it to, but you must raise to number 7. It's raising your principle of language and frequency. Raising your principle of language and frequency. What does that mean? It means that you have to elevate with energy. You have to get more committed to the lifestyle that you want, and you got to start dropping the language. You got to start dropping the conversations and the behaviors that kept you blocked in that place, and you got to dig deep inside yourself and see what your heart is saying, what your mind is saying, and eliminate everything that gets in your way from that compelling future. That is elevating your frequency. So frequency is, for those of you that don't know much about electricity, I want to explain to you something very briefly, and this is how electricity works. So let's say we have a straight line, okay? This is zero electricity, or also known as ground, the earth, okay? This is what we call earth. And then you have a electric motion. Electricity starts to flow in this direction, okay? That's supposed to be an arrow. And so from zero, it goes some level positive, and it comes down back to zero, okay? So positive, all right? It's in America, it's 120 volts, and it's called 60 hertz, okay? That's a 6, a 0, and a H and a Z for hertz is how we measure this from here to here and then back up, right? So I'm going to cover that. And then it goes negative past 0, it comes back, and it comes to 0. This is a negative sign. This is called positive sign, negative sign. This is called a sine wave. The sine wave goes from here to here in 60 seconds. 60 hertz. Okay? And that's electricity. Why does that matter? It matters because, you know what? This is all of life. You can take, theoretically, separate the two, and you can use this side and you can use this side, both to your advantage if you know engineering and electricity. Okay? So, brief little subject of electricity. Don't want to get any deeper than that, other than, you know, the negative things that happen in your life are not so negative. They're actually positive if you know how to use it. So that's why you have to raise your frequency, and you have to raise your language. You have to change the way you speak. And I'm going to tell you another deep thought here, because emotions are for me. Language is for you. When I want to express, I have to express myself with language, with body language, with verbal language, with emotion language. But how I feel, I should not try to push my emotions on you. I need to share my thoughts. And so I have to elevate the way I express myself. To say that you are who you are and that I am who I am and that's just the way I speak is a cop-out, and it's laziness. And I would even call it sinful. So don't cop out on your life. Don't cap your life by copping out on your own expression. Find new ways to express love, new ways to say to somebody, I love you. New ways to say somebody, you're important to me. New ways to talk to yourself. That's raising your frequency. The last one, okay? Restore. So this is a much deeper concept, all right? The eighth level of thinking is supernatural. It's something that's above. It's taking your old experiences, it's taking your pain and turning it into a shower of blessing. Let me show you something that's really interesting. At least it's interesting to me. Okay? That's a number 8. My 8. But if I turn it this way, the 8 now becomes a sine wave. Can you see that? And it rotates again against itself. And it becomes the sign of infinity. Okay? But if we were to look at it from a different position, you could say that energy comes in this way and it goes out that way. If you were to look at it from the top, what you would see is a black hole. If you would look at it from the bottom, right, it would be a black hole versus a star. Okay, this would be, the top would be a star, the bottom would be a black hole. I'm talking, if we could see it that way. Now, what does that mean with anything? This is really, really powerful. Okay, this is called the toroidal effect. If I was to show you nothing more than those 4 things, you go, okay, there are 4 dashes. Now, the way magnetism works, right? Radio waves, Bluetooth, that kind of stuff. Right, so I haven't removed those 8 dashes. But what if it starts to collapse against itself in this direction? All right, you can see that, right? That it started to take a different kind of shape. Now, if that was the case, but if I put I don't know if you can quite see it. If I put a little person in there, right? Now it looks more like perhaps an angel. Or this is the same thing. It could look like that. There's your angel, right? There's a head, the wings, the arms are hidden here, and the legs. And then, if you were to cut an apple in half, an apple might look something like that with a little stem coming out, cutting the apple in half. What does that have to do with anything? The toroidal effect is something that is happening around you, is a sine wave, and it's the supernatural connection of all things. If you stand like this, you become that toroidal. So the 8th level of thinking is not just action, but it's actually rest. And resting not in your laurels, but resting in the honor of who you are and the power behind your capacity and the beauty of being able to find somebody to exchange that with. And if you can find one person, and that person is not far from you, to be yourself, then you would start attracting other people, because like magnetism, you start pulling them towards you. And the first person that you gotta fall in love with is you. And the first person that you gotta convince about your livelihood, your likelihood, your worth is you. When you do that, when you feel good and you're convinced that you have integrity within yourself, now you can come and give, because you cannot give what you don't have. If you don't have $1, how can you give $2? If you don't have $1, how can you give a penny? You gotta have $1 at least one penny. But if you give the penny away and that's all you have, you are empty. And when you become empty, then you become a vampire. You become to suck from others, because nature cannot exist out of balance. You are a force of nature, and you have to understand that the greatest power that you have is being you, falling in love with you, being happy with making yourself be happy without hurting others, doing it in honor. And when you do that, you open up a whole chamber of abundance of love and relationship. And now somebody else says, I want some of that. I want to share with that individual because I feel the same way. You become the one angel. And I'm going to close with a story that I absolutely love. The poet once said, a beautiful poem, and I read it when I was a kid in Spanish, and it said that we are all angels, except we are all fallen angels with only one wing, seeking to return back to the heights from which we came from. We cannot find energy and flight until we find the one who's missing the opposite wing, so that we can hug and hold on to each other. And together, we take flight as one individual. And in harmony with one another, we will ascend to where once we came from. And that's it. First, see yourself for who you are and be perfect in it. Be okay with it. And that other person will match up to you. This is the secret of success. These are the 8 steps. Is you gotta think it, then you gotta feel it, and then once you feel it, you have to create the emotional context for those feelings to stay there. And then you have to have enough integrity to internalize all of this so that it can become a part of the way you vibrate and you raise your frequency. And when you have those pieces, then you go about changing the way you think and talk. And when you change the way you think and talk, you will take it to the highest level of spirituality. And like the amplitude of the energy of frequency, you will start to use both sides, that which is negative, that which is positive, because it's not evil or good. It's just, it is what it is. It's a sine wave that keeps coming, and you will then be totally successful and happy. To your success, to your honor, strength and honor. And remember, in between the day that you were born and the day that you die, there's only one dash. How are you going to fill that dash? What are you going to make that dash out of? Dare to dream. Take action with strength and stamina, and always in honor. See you later.